Edition of the Bells and Whistles Show is your boy Nando in association with IQ Boxing and Safer Training Solutions and Reg 31. To my right is Jermaine, and we have a full house. We got Coach Mikey Amoojr Jr. and he's brought along some special guests with him as well. So we got the Southern Area Featherweight Champion, Ramez Mahmood. How you doing, Ramez?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And we got the Southern Area Super Bantamweight Champion, Ryan the Lion Walker.
Yes, Team Fizz, all good.
And we have a future champion in the building as well. We got Super Welterweight Boxer Dujon. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Guys, welcome. Ramez, I want to start with you. For the listeners that don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, you mentioned my name already, Ramez Mahmood. I'm a professional boxer, and as you mentioned, the current Southern Area Featherweight Champion. Looking towards getting new titles at a new weight, at Super Bantamweight. My nickname is the Mathematician. We'll touch on that later on, I suppose. And yeah, that's about it. That's all you need to know so far.
So, as Ramez said, it's strap season.
Strap season. Yeah, looking towards more belts, exactly that.
That's it. I was going to touch up on the Mathematician. How did you get that name?
Yeah, it come from me working as a maths teacher alongside being a professional boxer. So that's where the Mathematician come from. And I fancy it as the best nickname in boxing right now.
Nice. It's unique, it's different, I like it. So you're 10-0, 2 KOs on your career.
Yeah.
How did you get into boxing?
From what I remember, it was watching an Amir Khan fight one day. It was when he boxed Willie Limard for the Commonwealth title. And it's weird because I didn't take to any other sport. As in, I used to play a bit of football when I was younger, but never enjoyed it. And anything else, never took to it. But the first time I watched boxing, I don't know what it was, it just clicked with me straight away. So the week after that fight, I just went to the boxing gym, my parents took me down, and as I said, just clicked with it straight away, and I haven't looked back since.
You basically answered 2 questions in one, so I was going to ask you who inspired you to get into boxing, so I'm guessing it's Amir Khan, but is there any other people that you look up to in the sport, past and present?
Not necessarily look up to it at the moment. I mean, I was really, I think Muhammad Ali is really inspiring, but at the minute, not necessarily so much. Just will focus on myself for now, really.
Nice.
Yeah, I also want to talk about, obviously, we were there that night when he came as Southern Area Champion.
Yeah, it was a good night.
Fantastic fight. That's probably what it was my favourite fights of the night. He fought Jack Budge, won on points.
That was it, yeah?
Yeah, good response after the fight. A lot of people talking about that fight after that. How do you think of your performance, and how did it feel to obviously hear and the new at the end of the?
Yeah, it was a really good feeling to hear and the new. With regards to performance, I think it was a good performance. I wouldn't say it was my best performance. I think it could have been better. There's a lot that we've worked on since then. But yeah, for my first 10 rounder, for my first title fight, for the whole dealing with the occasion, I think it was a fairly good performance. But we've worked on a lot of things since then.
Yeah, that obviously. I'm not too sure about your style, but I like that night you just dead turn in the ring and you guys were trading, and I was like, wow, these guys is like laying everything on the line. I was very impressed with that. So let's talk a bit about your style. What's your style when you fight?
When I first joined Mac's team and turned over, I was literally just a come forward fighter. Since then, I feel like I've evolved a lot as a boxer. So my best shot is my jab. I like to work the body. That's why I'm mainly a come forward fighter, but with a bit of a boxer as well.
Coach Mikey, let's go back to that night when Ramez won the title.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a great night. How did you think of his performance?
Yeah, it's a hard one because what I find is at the time it's very hard to like take in the actual performance because of the emotional side of it. You know what I mean? You're very much caught in what's going on here with the drama in the ring. And overall, the performance I was more than happy with it because there was a lot of adapting going on. Jack Budge at the time was actually he was a novice as a professional. But he was a much more seasoned amateur, and if you're familiar with the amateur background, it's a lot more point scoring system, get in, get out, move your feet. So the training that we had, the camp, we didn't prepare for what Jack Budge actually brought to the table, because we were surprised how you said the pair of them was stood in the centre of the ring. We thought we were going to have to go looking for him. So the first 5 rounds was pretty much toe-to-toe, centre of the ring. You know, when you see 2 fighters head on each other's foreheads and they're going to work with each other. And I think the difference was that Ramez come back to the corner. Obviously, the fact that he's one of the fittest professional fighters out there. and he's composed in the ring. So giving him instructions to literally change everything that we had worked on in the camp leading up to the fight, during the fight, to change that in the 5th, 6th round, I think was a credit to him. And obviously he changed tactics. We started keeping it long, getting back on the jab, established the jab, the 1-2, and basically see the rest of the fight out like that. So overall, like I said, at the time it was very hard to dissect the performance, but looking back on it, I think it's a great performance. First title fight, first 10 rounder against another undefeated fighter. So over the moon with it, really.
That's fantastic. Ramez, what's the plan now? You're fighting on the 14th of March, is that correct? Your call?
Yeah, I'm boxing on the 14th of March, and then hopefully everything goes well there, and then we look towards more titles. This year I want to pick up a couple of titles, looking towards the English, British, or the Commonwealth, either or. Also, mainly looking towards super bantamweight rather than featherweight for them bigger titles, to be honest.
Okay. Is the fight on the 14th your first defence?
Now, unfortunately, we couldn't get a defence just because of opponent restrictions and things like that. So it was just a 6-rounder to keep me going, and then, as I said,
the good thing about this 6-rounder that's coming up though is the kid that we are fighting. He actually got a draw with Brad Foster, which I'm sure if you follow boxing will ring a few bells, because he was on ITV last night against Lucian Reed, boxing for the British and Commonwealth titles. So he's now the British and Commonwealth champion. It was a big performance from him yesterday. So the fact that our opponent has already had a draw with the champion, we feel like it's a good opportunity to make a statement and show where we are at. You know what I mean? If he goes on and puts on a bigger performance and beats the guy, maybe even get him out of there, even though the guy is a tough opponent, then it definitely puts a lot of people on notice and lets them title holders know that we're coming. You know what I mean?
Exactly that. And if it's a really good performance, which I'm hoping to do anyway, it makes the Brad Foster fight quite interesting as well, and that's the fight I'm after.
You touched up on last night's fight on ITV. I want to ask all of you this question. We have been saying so long on Bells and Whistles that these kind of fights at your call need terrestrial TV.
Yeah.
And finally a deal had been struck with ITV and BT Sport. How important is that for such small venues, but a historic venue like your call, to host these fights and people can actually see these fights on TV?
Yeah, for me it's massive, because obviously you know yourself, we see you down there all the time. You know some of the fights you see down there, you get more action in some of them fights than you get on these 15, 20, 25 pound pay-per-view cards. And it's like they go unnoticed. They might get a little write-up in a monthly boxing magazine, and that's it. But you know, in terms of action and boxing and up-and-coming prospects as well, I think it's key to see, like the Lucian Reed Brad Foster fight. I'm pretty sure both of them are undefeated. So rather than waiting to see these undefeated fighters get built up and made up to be more than what they are, and all of a sudden thrown in the deep end on the big stage and getting found out, then if they do go through that stage of fighting undefeated fighters, the southern areas, the English, British title levels, and obviously getting terrestrial TV for it, it's massive. It's better exposure. It builds them up for what they're gonna get to face in the later on in their careers, and it also gives them better exposure, which is obviously means more money to the boxers, more money to the business itself.
This is it, and it promotes the sport at the same time. Like I mentioned, I watched Amir Khan really limit and joined the boxing gym the next week. That was on ITV, and watching that on ITV is what got me into boxing. So someone could have been watching that last night at 10-year-olds, and they could be joining the boxing gym next week.
Yeah.
So it just promotes the sport out completely.
I agree with what you said as well. At the end of that night, every fight, when Ramez won, every fight should have been on an undercard on Sky.
Of a big bill,
Every single fight, up until the main event with K Prosper as well.
Yeah.
Every single fight should have been on TV.
Yeah. So much on the line for everybody, because obviously they want to get to that stage, so they're putting it all out there. But obviously not everyone is going to get to that stage. But it's nice for them local fighters, like you said, the small hall shows, small hall promoters, to have that stage, that publicity that you get from having terrestrial TV.
Yeah, I agree. I got that. Obviously, that night was a fantastic night. Yeah. I really enjoyed that night. Some fantastic fights. Obviously, the night when they went Dujon Trainer for Wadi Camacho as well. That for me, that should have been on terrestrial TV at least.
Is that your bill?
The last show.
That's Jack Budge's show. That's the same show as me. Dujon Trainer Wadi.
Oh, was that your one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean that night was just, for me, it was lit. Like that was like
wow.
Yeah,
and you don't get to. There's fans out there, fight fans. We know there's a lot of critical fight fans. I say fight fans, they're probably more the casual fans that love to criticise and love to make up noise and moan about stuff they're paying for on the TV. And obviously everyone's got their right to do so, but by showing, I think, these small hall shows, it gets the casual fans more familiar with boxing as well. Rather than just seeing the hype and the built-up fighters and the big names, it gets them more familiar with the sport, and fighters rises to that level before they get there. So I think it's good for everybody really, and it is important to get it out and get it more publicised.
And like Ramez said, it can inspire the next young generation to get into boxing.
Definitely.
Future world champions as well.
Definitely.
Coach Mikey, let's talk about you. How did you get into the sport?
I started boxing. My first, funny enough, coincidentally, my first experience with boxing was around 2004. I remember my dad and all these pals sitting up and watching Mike Tyson versus Danny Williams.
Yeah.
And that was a mad fight. But even that, at that time, in my head, obviously you see two big scary brothers going at it in the ring, and in my head, that's what boxing was. It was for big heavy guys just going at it, slugging it out. That's all I knew. But obviously the same year, 2004, Amir Khan goes and wins this Olympic silver medal, and I've seen that and I've thought to myself, if this kid can do it, why can't I? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then obviously it slowly started from there. It started snowballing. I went to a gym, done bits and bobs. Was still at the age I didn't really have much structure going on, so I wasn't disciplined with the boxing. But up until the age of 17, I think it was, that's when I finally went to Repton Gym, and that's when it really kick-started. And then I obviously got started going from there. Ended up boxing internationally for Ghana, won a couple national titles over here. So it was a good. In a short space of time, I did do quite a bit within the amateur game. Did go pro at the age of 21. There was a few setbacks. There was one major issue with a medical thing going on. I won't get into that too much now, but the board basically advised me. They said they don't think it's best to box.
Okay.
And if I'm honest, the first few years I couldn't even deal with it. I took it hard. You know what I mean? I went off the rails, went left, went right, I was going everywhere, other than where I needed to be. But I stayed in the gym. At the time, my dad had a gym. I stayed in that gym, just staying around boxers, staying around helping people out, doing the pad work. So now I always enjoyed the pad work. And then around the same sort of time, Ramez started coming to the gym and started training with us. And then my dad, obviously, who's a boxing manager, Mickey Amu Senior, manages Richard Combi and Duke Micro at the moment. So them fighters was in the gym. So it was good for me to stay around them and keep in the mix. And then as the time of Ramez basically deciding, you know what, he wants to give it a go at the pro game, me and him had already built up a relationship, so it seemed ideal for me to go into the training and work alongside him. And now looking back, it's one of the best decisions I've made. I feel like everything happens for a reason, and as much as I was bitter about not being able to box, now having this team of fighters around me and watching them go to the ring and helping them prepare for fights, I feel like that fills that void for me personally, you know. So
obviously in the past there has been a few coaches, young coaches, who have been criticised. For example, Ben Davison. Does age really matter in boxing when you're a coach?
I don't know. Obviously, there's pros and cons to everything in it. Ben Davison, I love the guy to bits. I know the guy well. I love the guy to bits. I think he's a serious trainer, serious coach. And for him to even take on that fight, the Fury Wilder fight, is a credit to himself, and it's a credit to Fury for putting the trust into him. And the people that criticise, they're the people that are always going to find negative in everything. Do you know what I mean? And if you listen to them, then you ain't going to go nowhere. So there are going to be people that are going to say that. Obviously, being young, you're going to lack the experience of an older coach.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like Tyson Fury and Ben Davison's relationship, Tyson Fury probably wouldn't have come out of retirement if it weren't for a young coach to give him that enjoyment from the training that he was getting. He probably would have still been in retirement. The last thing he wanted was an old man telling him, get up, go run. What actually made the difference was having a young guy come up with him and say, right, we're going running together, we're going gym together. So there are, again, pros and cons of the age thing. Yeah. And I think obviously you got to make do with your situation. What you lack in experience, you have to make up for in knowledge, studying the sport, you know what I mean, and really trying to live the sport with the fighters.
Exactly. Well, to be honest, if it wasn't for corrupted judges, he would have had a world champion.
100%.
He would have had a world champion under his belt, and then I would have loved to see John Fury say something after that. You know what I mean? So
a lot of criticism come from that side, didn't it?
Well, I think he played a big part of. We'll get to that when we talk about the Tyson fight, but I think he had a big influence on Tyson getting rid of Ben Davison. In my opinion, John Fury.
Yeah.
I personally
listen, if people are putting things in your ear, especially family members, dads and as well, you don't get much closer than that. It is going to play a part. It's going to be hard to go against what your old man's telling you in that situation. But yeah, we'll get back to that.
Get to that, of course.
Get back to that.
Ryan, let's talk about you. I'll let Jermaine ask the questions.
Yeah. So Ryan, 11-1, super bantamweight, Southern Area champion. Let's go back to that night when you became a champion. your opponent, I can't pronounce the name properly, Peter Migra.
Peter Migra.
Peter Migra, yeah. Yeah, winning on points decision. And for me, you boxed very well that night. I was very chuffed, obviously being there and hearing that you've been crowned champion. How did that night feel? How did it feel when they called your name out, saying you were champion? And how did it feel? Obviously, that night, that card, some great fights that night. So how did it feel to be part of that?
It felt good. I was happy that I won, but I still wasn't happy with my performance. So I felt like I could have done much more. Much more. But yeah, it was good though. It was a good vibe, and everyone enjoyed it. Very entertaining, and yeah, I learned a lot from it. But yeah, that's what I can say. Just learned a lot.
What got you into boxing, Ryan?
I started boxing kind of late when I was like 18. I had my first amateur fight, and then I was getting in a bit of trouble on road and stuff, and then started going gym, and then started boxing instead, and then didn't have no more trouble on road because I didn't have time for it. So yeah, started from there.
If there is any young kids listening right now and they want to get off road, is sport the best way to do it?
Yeah, definitely, because you're burning up energy. You don't have time for anything else, and it's something to focus on. It's bigger goals. Like, even though I've achieved a little title, well, it's not a little title, it's still big to me, but there's more titles to collect. So I still got to go back to the gym and work harder.
So your next fight, is it on the 14th?
Well, I was meant to fight on the 14th, but it's been postponed now. So it's looking like I might not fight until May. So it's a little setback, but
okay,
I was going to get back to it.
Was that scheduled to be your first title defence?
Nah, it was going to be just a keep busy fight. And then it had to be postponed.
See, the pair of them, the thing with the titles that they won and defending them, the issue was the opportunities that come at the time was actually weights above both of their natural weight classes.
Okay.
Ramez is actually a super bantam, but there was an opportunity at featherweight. Ryan's actually a bantam, but the opportunity comes at super bantam. So it's like, after winning them titles, you look around the division, obviously you want to have a defence, you want to defend your title and go on to do your thing, but ideally we're already punching above our weight, you know what I mean? The opportunity come and we thought, right, you got to take this opportunity because we're at the bottom of the food chain right now. So we got to go, with things ain't going to always fall in our favour, and we took the fight. Obviously they both won the fight, so we thought as a team we got to be smart, rather than rushing into a defence of our title. Let's weigh up the situation, whether we're going to stay at that weight, whether we're going to come down to our natural weight, and then weigh up the options in the actual suited weight classes. So that's where we're at the moment. That's why the 6 rounders are going to be there to see if it suits them coming down to that weight, and then obviously after that we'll go back from there.
The fact that both fighters went up one weight and achieved it, it's great. It's great.
It's a credit to the
So I was going
team.
to say, that's another thing. My opponent was much bigger than me as well, and I still pulled it off. My last couple opponents actually are a bit bigger than me. I've never fought at my actual weight, so this time I can go down and then I can show that much more stronger, more where I'm meant to be.
Do you feel more confident at that weight?
Yeah, much more.
And people that ain't familiar with boxing, it's like some of these weight categories are like 3-4 pounds different, and you think to yourself that's nothing. But when you've got a professional athlete that actually training 2-3 times a day, who's fine tuning his body to get down to that weight, bang on that weight, on that limit, weighing in 24 hours in advance. That's why you hear stories about fighters after weighing putting on an extra stone plus by the time they get in the ring. So that little 3-4 pounds, it sounds like nothing, but it is actually a big thing, making sure you're at your actual your optimum body weight, your fighting weight, you know. So yeah.
And it makes a difference in a fighter's speed and punching power as well. The punching power especially. Of course.
If you're putting on weight, or you're not actually coming down to your suited fighting weight, then you're gonna lose the natural speed that your body will have, and you're coming up against a fighter that's gonna be naturally punching a bit heavier. He might be throwing a jab that is not meant to be a power punch, but with that extra few pounds behind it, you're gonna feel like a right hand from someone else in your weight. So definitely makes a massive difference, and definitely important to from the training aspect as well, to make sure we all get that right as a team.
Of course. Jordan, welcome.
Hiya.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Jordan Dujon. 3-0 as a professional now. My next fight is the 14th of March, same as Rams. So yeah.
How did you get into boxing?
So I started boxing really late. So basically I see Anthony Joshua win the world title against Charles Martin.
Okay.
And then that was basically just watching his whole journey. That was a deciding factor for me to say, oh, you know what, if he's done this in a short space of time, what could I potentially achieve? So I had my first amateur fight. I think it was 3 years ago now actually. And from there I had 20 as a amateur over 2 years. won a national title, won a London Championship. In my third year, which is now, I'm turned pro, it's 3-0. So yeah, it's going good so far.
So who has inspired you? Like, who are the fighters that you grew up watching apart from Anthony Joshua?
Yeah, so I mean, Anthony Joshua was more of I could relate to him.
Yeah.
But in terms of who I'd like to base myself around, there's who I watch going on. Not quite yet, man. I didn't know that. But no, Roy Jones, to me, he was just the phenom of the sport. Obviously, one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
That was someone who I'd watched from a kid, really, seeing my parents watch him. Mike Tyson. It's funny because my dad was actually the bodyguard for Mike Tyson when he came out to Brixton. And my granddad was actually a bodyguard for Muhammad Ali back in the day.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's a bit of it's always been there, but I've never really dived into it. But yeah, see Floyd Mayweather, and then probably Andre Ward as well.
Wow.
They're probably the fighters that I like.
Great fighters, they're
Yeah.
some of my favourites as well. Jordan, let's talk a bit about your opponent. Do you know much about your opponent, Jordan Random? Do you know much about his opponent?
Well, I think he's been around boxing for a good while. I mean, as an amateur, I know you've done pretty well. A few national titles. I think you won the Haringey Box Cup. But as a professional, I can't say I know too much. A bit of a journeyman. But yeah.
You watch any clips of him? Seen any clips of him?
I have seen a clip of him.
Yeah.
Who did he fight? I see one with I think Sam Eggington actually. It was a good fight.
The guy's a good, tough, strong come forward fighter. So it's the sort of fights you want at this stage. It's his first 6-rounder as well. So having come up from a 4 to 6-rounder against someone that's gonna, they're gonna be there, they're gonna be fit, they're gonna push you back for them rounds if you're not matching them or if you're not holding the centre. If you allow them to, he's gonna make it a very hard night's work for Jordan. So I feel like it's a fight that's come at the right time. He's only had 3, but we definitely like you said, he come in late. So not necessarily fast track, not rushing, but take, what I mean? We're eyeing up getting it to the titles as quick as we can.
Tell us about his style. What kind of boxer is he?
It changes every day.
Does he like trading, or does he box smart?
It changes every day. Look at you just asked him who the inspirations are. How can you go from Roy Jones to Mike Tyson? You got 2 different. I think you know what, when he's tired, he turns up like Mike Tyson, and that's quite often. So, but the thing is, it's hard because as an amateur, he boxes at 75 kilos, which is quite above his natural weight, because we're looking to bring him down to welterweight, which is 66.6 in the pro game. So he's fighting a lot of people bigger than him. So he watching these fights back in the amateurs, a lot of the time he had to come forward and get on the inside, and working him on the inside. But then when I started working with him personally, I thought his strengths was his jab, his straight shots, his feet. He's got very lovely feet. Some of his combinations, when he boxes in and out, moving, bouncing, I think his balance and timing and everything, I think for me personally that is his strengths. But still being only 3-0, I feel like we're all still learning. It's still got, it takes a while before you actually get a set style to what suits you and what works for you. But me personally as a trainer, I like to make sure my fighters cover a bit of everything. We do a lot of strength on the weaknesses. I'd like to identify what their strengths are, and obviously that's what you work on. But straight away, behind the scenes, we do a lot of stuff on what I feel they might not be their preference in their style, and we work on that, because I think you will have an answer. You're always going to come up against an opponent that's bigger than you, stronger than you. You're always going to come up against an opponent that's quicker than you. So you got to have an answer for everything. You got to have plan A, B, C. So at the moment, yeah, style, I think a very nice boxer, pretty boxer, smart, plays it keeps it rangy, keeps it long, moves off, good footwork. But definitely from the amateur background and fighting a lot bigger people, definitely capable of getting inside, getting stuck in and going to work with people.
Yeah. Welterweight, that's a tough division as well. Yeah. How do you feel about the current situation with the welterweight division, such as Josh Kelly, Conor Benn, those kind of fighters?
I think them fights are definitely going to happen. The idea of fighting them two, I mean, if I got given the opportunity, I'll fight them tomorrow. They might not necessarily agree, but I'll take it tomorrow.
It'll be on Sky. Yeah. Big money right there.
He calls me up all the time. He watches them all the time. And he's eager to get in with, get to that level as soon as possible.
But it's obviously your self-belief. I mean, you can't be in the sport without having self-belief. And me personally, looking around, I think I'll do very well. Whether it's on the inside, whether it's boxing in the back foot, I think I'll find a solution for no matter who I box, really.
That's one of the things in boxing is like he said, you can't be in this sport without the mentality that you can beat all these people. And I feel like Jordan was trying to be very polite there, because I know in the back of their mind, you know what I mean?
I was trying to get out. I saw your face, and I could tell already.
In the back of his mind, he knows. He thinks, listen, I'll beat them now. I'll beat them today. And if he didn't have that mentality, he wouldn't even be where he is. He wouldn't be 3-0. Same as Ryan, same as Ramez. Looking at the English, the British, and the Commonwealth, and so forth champions. If they was looking at them thinking, oh, I'm not quite ready for them yet, they'll never be ready. As a fighter, you have to have that mentality that I want them now. But a lot of I think if it becomes hard to actually say things like that, because you get accused of being arrogant or too cocky or confident. But this is the fight game. You can't go in there with lacking self-belief, like you said. You got to have that. So definitely think in the back of his mind and or the whole team's mind, we're ready for the opportunities. It's just about when they come.
Exactly. You know? And now with this Terrasul TV opportunity, those opportunities will come easier than before.
Yeah, it opens the doors.
Exactly. So we look forward to that. Before we take a break and we will get to Wilder and Fury, I like to ask every fighter that come on our show this question. You just got a call, you're getting a world title fight. And you get to pick your dream venue. Where would it be? I'll start with you, Ryan. Anywhere.
Oh man, probably Las Vegas.
Where? What one?
Where though? T-Mobile, MGM.
Probably MGM.
Yeah.
Just because the history of the place and everyone's been there, so I'd like to go out and do it.
Jordan?
Mine's at White Hart Lane.
Yes, man. Yes, come on.
New stadium, listen.
Come on, man. Brand new stadium. Look, even AJ's trying to get
it's better than Wembley. Like, it's local.
It's a brand. If you haven't been there, the stadium's unreal. You know what I mean? It's state of the art. It's state of the art. AJ's trying to get there, but we
Ab nausea going there. That's the issue.
We don't know if we want to allow AJ to box there. Yeah, you know what I mean? We don't know if he's earned the right to box such a prestigious stadium. You know what I mean?
I think it's one of them things. Like, obviously, it's your local club. You've always gone there to watch the football matches, and then the idea that you could potentially sell out the whole venue by yourself. Everyone's there for you. Mate, there's nothing better than that.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's the same question for you, coach. The coach, a fighter.
Yeah.
If you had to pick a venue, would it be White Hart Lane?
Yeah, I've got to say, you know what I mean? Obviously, with what's happened in Saudi Arabia, that all looks appealing, that's exciting. Obviously, Vegas is Vegas, even Madison Square Garden. You know what I mean? You can't, there's places that they're dreams, you know what I mean? But like you said, your boyhood club, what you've watched as a kid growing up, having all them people come to that stadium to watch you, and it's in your back garden, you know what I mean? People are literally going to be walking there from their houses, so I think that the atmosphere of that would be something unreal.
That'd be fantastic. Ramez?
Normally I'd say Madison Square Gardens, but if it's your first world title fight, I'd rather it be at home, so I'd say something like Wembley, with all your people there just going mental. Packed out Wembley, that is not with about 50 people.
Well, I'm sure these dreams will come true for you guys, and we look forward to it. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking Fury and Wilder. Stay tuned.